I think we're live. Can you guys see me, hear me? See me, hear me, somebody confirm. You got... Yo, can you guys see me, hear me? Sweet. What up? All right, so I'm using a new setup thing today. So I hope it doesn't drag on you guys. Let me know if it's dragging because I can't plug in my Ethernet. So let me know if it's dragging, and now let me get the link. One sec. Sorry, I kid screaming. One sec. One sec. All right, one sec, guys. Just trying to find the link so I can share with you guys so you guys can come on too. How's everybody doing? It's good to see you guys all here. Let's see. Where's the share link? Share link. There we go. Okay, people, copy link. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this link in the chat. So if you guys want to hop in and join me, then you guys can hop in. Okay, yeah, so what this is this is the cam link. So I just got it a while ago and I haven't set it up, but it's because my live quality was bad, right? So I was going to get a live camera, and then around the same price was this thing to turn your DSLR into a live camera. Live quality was bad, right? Oh, cool, somebody's in. Yeah, so anyway, so that's what that is. So it's using my normal camera as my live. So, all right. Let's see who hopped in. Make sure nobody's waiting. Okay, there we go. It's Sean. What's up, bro?
Hey, brother. How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing? Is that your wife?
Yeah, it's Erica.
Hi, how are you? All right, good to meet you. I'm John.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
This is cool. This is my first time doing the Hangout.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. You can send a link and get connected like that.
You said, say it again?
It's so cool that you can send a link like that and get connected.
Oh, yeah, I know, isn't it? Oh, no. Yep.
You can put that if you have to.
No. There's a delay on that one.
Okay.
You use that.
All right, so, yeah, so how's everybody doing, man? Everybody good? Well, wait for other people to get in. Today, I recorded my next part to the response to Cosmic Skeptic on slavery. Well, wait for other people to get in. Today, recorded my part to the response to Cosmic Skeptic on slavery. Well, wait for other people. You guys, if you're in the chat, or if you're in the video, make sure you mute your mute your YouTube video, the YouTube screen, if you're on YouTube, because then it's going to play back inside of the video. So you don't have to mute your the Google Hangouts, but mute on YouTube the video. Okay, John, I think we're good now. Julian, what's up, man?
Hey, John, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing? Good to talk to you.
Say again?
I said good to talk to you, man.
Yeah, it's first time doing this, so yeah.
Nice. Are you where do you live?
I currently live in North Carolina.
Oh, okay. North Carolina, nice. Isn't Turk out there? I think Turk's out there, right?
Is he?
I thought he was, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I think he's out there in North Carolina. Okay, so I was saying I recorded my next response to Cosmic Skeptic today, and it was a long video. I'm worried that it's too long. So I hope not, though, but we'll see. I just started kind of slicing it before I hopped on here, but if it's too long, then I got to figure out a way to like slice that one up and then try to record parts to make it fit into another part. But I only wanted to do a total of 3 parts. So anyways, that's my problem today. So, but I like it though. So we'll see how it is. You guys know a decent amount on that topic or no? Julian or Sean?
Sorry, my volume in order to avoid the feedback's really low.
No worries. The slavery topic.
Oh yeah, to some extent. But I like listening to you guys deal with it. And unfortunately, with the current culture, a guy with pink skin like mine, you know, people socially find it unacceptable for me to,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying you would, but you know what I mean. So I
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
I try to avoid it, but yeah, a decent amount anyway. And like you guys, I've got, who was talking about, the topic's come up a few times. I think Mike Winger may have done a video recently too.
Oh yeah.
Somebody was saying that, I'm trying to remember the scholar that's written quite a few on suffering and evil. My library is downstairs, so I can't just reach over and grab the book. I can picture it on my, it's not Feinberg, it's, well, it'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, somebody was saying that he sort of kind of, not whitewashes it, but sort of paints it in too good of a picture, maybe.
Oh, you're talking about Copan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It, you know, a little too gentle with it. I'm not sure exactly. I don't remember the you know, the statement, but it's definitely a difficult topic. But I do like what you've been doing with it so far, what I've seen, and I appreciate it.
No, appreciate that, man. No, so you said it was Mike Winger. You said that.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't remember, brother. The days are starting to bleed together. I'm back in college, so it could have been one of my professors.
Yeah, well, so honestly, the hardest thing for me on this video is finding like more objective kind of sources, because it's so polarized. Like, it's either like it was all like super good or it was all completely awful, and then so many people aren't taking into mind the different distinctions. And so, like, that's why this video is actually taking me a long time to put together. You guys wouldn't believe. But the reason why is because I try to find everything that I could find on this topic, and there's not a whole lot, believe it or not. That's what's kind of crazy about it. There's not a whole lot. But everybody you do find, they don't make distinctions between who they're talking about. So so when Cosmic Skeptic did his video, he made the distinction, because I heard Dillahanty makes the same distinction. And a few of it's kind of going around in the atheist circle, by the way. But they say, like, the non-Hebrew Israelites the non-Hebrews were the ones that were treated good, or I'm sorry, treated really bad, and then the Hebrews were treated good, you know. And so, but that's still too overly simplistic. That's not all the way right, because there's a lot of different kinds of slaveries there, and so there's all these kind of variations. And then so trying to like organize the distinctions, and then also I was trying to organize like the distinctions between the law and the code, because we don't have a modern parallel either towards how these things were applied. And also with like the judges, how they would go. And so there's like so much to this topic like that. It was so hard to try to like consume it all and then try to make these distinctions where other people haven't made them before. Yeah. And so I read, and I actually talked to Copan a few times throughout this, because I was asking him questions and stuff like that. And he sent me some stuff and all that too. And yeah, I haven't liked that stuff as much. I didn't find it really convincing. A lot of the stuff I heard, not saying all the Copan stuff, there's a lot of stuff that he has that's really good, but the stuff he sent me and stuff, I'm just like, it just doesn't sound convincing. So I was like, oh no, I'm kind of like left in the water here, you know what I mean? But I knew like I could argue it, but I wanted it to be really tight, you know? And so anyway, it took a while. I think I got something a lot more tight, and I'm trying to be careful not to overstate my case, because I think that's what really gets us into trouble. When people use blanket statements, they overstate their case.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. So
did you go to school by chance out at Biola?
No, never went to Biola.
Okay. I was asking because that's something I heard from one of my professors. They hit on is don't overstate your case a lot. That's why I was asking. It's sort of
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because I mean, it's like it's a weird world out on YouTube, man. Because those guys, like those atheists, are like, you know, they're like wolves, man, and you know what I mean. They'll just come. And so you don't want to be like wrong on anything if you can help it. You know what I mean? So I'm just be careful. You know?
Yeah, and then nowadays the new trend is like what I call the Dillahanty defense. This has been around for a while, but they won't take a position in order to avoid shifting the burden of proof.
Yeah.
But I've found a way around that for the most part. Yeah, basically you just call them out on. You say, well, if you're not going to take a position. Now, again, I'm oversimplifying this argument, but then you're being agnostic, in which case you can't possibly win a debate. All you're saying is that you're not sure, and by demanding, what's that?
No, I'm looking at you, by the way, because you're down here on the computer. So
sorry.
Yeah, no. So I'm looking at you.
Yeah, there's a delay on my end, so I'm seeing stuff after the fact. So I've got to try to not look at it, or it'll throw me off.
Oh, gotcha.
but yeah, and then just, you know, point out that if they, because I know what they're doing, they don't want to take the position in order to avoid having a burden of proof. Now, generally, they're not dumb enough to try to say that a negative position doesn't require one, because, of course, then they would still have to have knowledge. In other words, if they say you're wrong, well, that's that you must know what's right then, in which case you have a burden of proof. So what they try to do is just say, you're not convincing me, to which you just point out, burden of proof does not require convincing. It's simply to present an argument. And if you say there's something wrong, then you have the burden of proof to present a counter argument or request something based on that.
Yeah, no, that's good, because so, you know, Mike Winger is about to debate Dillahunty in a few days.
Oh,
and
no.
yeah, and I've been talking to him every day, like because I think I have Dillahunty's kind of epistemic structure mapped out. Like, I think he does the same thing every single time, and he has this structure so tight and neat, though, where he allows it where literally anything he wants to believe he can, but he'll do it in a way where he doesn't take the burden of proof.
Right.
And then if he doesn't like, he can just dismiss. You know what I mean? And say yeah, because he won't take a stance on anything. He just won't on anything. That's not even a declaration. So, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was getting excited. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine, man. No, so the path that I think that Winger should take, and this was my advice to him too, is like, and I talked to him about a whole lot of stuff. I said, you've got to get the guy to commit to something, or to commit to a position on something. If not, you lose before you start. And the reason why is because they have to have a model to compare his model with your model somehow. And if they don't have that, because he's just saying, hey, I'm just asking questions here, you know, or if he's just pulling on his personal psychology, then you can't win. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and if Mike doesn't have the philosophical background, it's going to be hard for him to point out the agnosticism.
Yeah, he doesn't. But what's weird to me is Mike's actually like one of my favorite Christian thinkers. Like he makes really good distinctions, practical distinctions too. It's not just philosophical distinctions, you know. Because these are a little bit more, they're more not pragmatic but useful, I want to say, you know. So that's what's so weird. But Mike doesn't have a philosophy background, but I think he makes better distinctions than philosophers a lot of the time.
He does. He's pretty good at it. We just did a video on shifting the burden of proof, and we're doing another one on evidence soon.
Oh, sweet.
Because we keep running into this, so we're trying to do videos based on sort of these subjects. The evidence one will be on a legal explanation, pretty detailed work, and then epistemological, you know, explanation, sort of a simplified JTB explanation, and a historical one, so that laying out how these three areas and how the criteria are very similar and whatnot, to try to help Christians so they understand what's acceptable. So when people say, oh, I'm not going to accept that, or, you know, they start dismissing what you have because it's metaphysics or whatever, you can point out the fallacy in that. So
yeah, that's good. No, that's good, man, because making distinctions is critical. Like, I think for good thinking, you know, making distinctions is critical. Hey, Julian, that's a dope beard, bro.
Matches my soteriology, I suppose.
Nice. I'm jealous, man. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get there, man.
This is gone. So
yeah, mine's right behind it. So I was saying I'll never have a full beard and a full head of hair at the same time. I remember they were both going like this.
Pull it down. Pull it up.
Yeah, there you go. So Julian, what are you up to, man? Are you in apologetics at all, or what's your kind of story?
My story is try not to take up a whole lot of time here, but my story is I've had an interesting path of faith. Yeah, I've always used apologetics. Actually, is what brought me to Christ, because about almost 30 years ago now, two guys I work with, they found religion, and they wouldn't shut up about this Jesus guy, and they were just hounding everybody about it and everything. Now, I was raised a Catholic, and by that I mean, you know, hypocritical Catholics, and, you know, if they didn't believe the stuff, then why should I? And it didn't really make any sense to me anyway. So so these two guys, right, who found religion, well, I did notice that they did change. Their interest, their behavior, they did change. One was a real good friend of mine. We had a lot in common, and the other guy was a guy, frankly, I thought he was a jerk, and I didn't like him. And So we would debate. We worked mid-shift, and we worked mid-shift on. Well, if you ever saw the movie War Games, the big scene there, I worked in that spot in the military. So we had a lot of time to argue and debate and discuss things, and we did. For 8 months, I tried refuting Christianity. I tried and tried and tried. I went all Lee Strobel, and ended up finding out, well, you know what? This is irrefutable. Christianity is true. All of the historical evidence lines up. There are just way too many things that say, yeah, this Jesus is real. He is who he says he is. And now that just forces me to decide what I'm going to do about that. You know, so then I sat down and I started, okay, let me try and read this Bible for the umpteenth time, and let me see if I can understand it. Well, it wasn't only until after I acknowledged that, yeah, Jesus is Lord, you know, who he says he is. That's when I started reading it, and it was starting to make sense to me, even though I didn't study it or anything. I was just, okay, let's Romans. Okay, I don't know. Let's just read here. Well, Romans and Hebrews, the logic in all of it made sense to me. It's like, because Paul's constructing all these logical arguments, and even putting in the refutation to his argument, or the objections to his arguments, built right into it. So it's like, oh, okay, now I understand, you know, basically the lay of the land of, you know, God and man and salvation. And it just made sense where nobody else, no other religion, no, you know, because I was agnostic after that, and I looked at other stuff. And it's like, well, this actually makes sense. It's logical, which logic appeals to me. I mean, my background is electronics, electronic engineering, and computer programming, that kind of stuff. So it worked, you know. So yeah, when I talk to other people and that kind of a thing, I tend to go that route, especially since I tend to be around other people who think the same way, logic and facts, and, you know, something more tangible. You know, you know, I believe in God because I just feel it. That's not going to work for people like me. So yeah, now where I'm going to go with that, I don't know. I'm at a point in my life right now, I'm retired, and I'm trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up.
Right there with you.
But I have been spending a lot of time digging into, I pretty much live in Logos Bible software these days. Yeah. It's like, wow, there's so much fascinating stuff. So I've been studying the languages, studying the ancient Near East, studying the history and stuff like that. And it's just like, wow. And I'm finding out too, a lot of beliefs that I've had over these years weren't exactly accurate. And I've had it, and it wasn't easy for me to see that. In fact, it took a lot for me to see that. My view of God was still very distorted. So that's probably what I've been spending most of my time on right now is, okay, I need to question everything I think I know and go back and say, okay, how do I know this is true? How do I know that this matches what the Bible actually teaches versus what people say it teaches?
Yeah,
that's been a big deal. And honestly, I have textual critics, apologists, atheists, and frankly, studying Islam has been a huge help to all those things have been a huge help in understanding what the Bible teaches and what it doesn't teach.
Oh yeah, no, that's interesting. That's a lot like I went through a lot of that too in the last few years. With a lot of those too, like a lot of the biblical teachings, just like reevaluating them all, like the kind of standard things. And I don't talk about them publicly a lot because it ticks people off, you know. But yeah, there's a lot of those things, man. Like, you know, a few things where I'm just like, yeah, I just don't think that's right, and people just get so offended, you know. But yeah. I argue with all my friends about it, but yeah, I just try not to go publicly because I was like, I don't need another reason for people to write me off as some like evil person or heretic or something, you know.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I get that regularly.
Yeah.
I'm right there with both of you as a pastor, and I had my 4-year undergrad from Bible college, and when I started going to seminary, and then same exact path, Logos, you know, dove into Logos and everything, and went, why weren't we getting this? Yeah. Now I had a pretty good undergrad. We had Greek, Hebrew, hermeneutics, exegesis, homiletics. We had a pretty good undergrad course, but there was a lot of, you can't cover everything in 4 years, and and I was a fundamentalist too at the time, so that didn't help. Now the college I went to wasn't quite that hardcore fundamentalist Baptist, but still. So I got out of that. That was my first move. And then, like Julian was saying, sort of, just dove in and started evaluating everything, going, what am I holding here? Yeah. And I sort of keep my mouth shut when I meet with, talk to my pastor friends, buddies. I try to walk a fine line. I've had one disfellowship me already.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Yeah. So far, well, yeah, only because he knows.
yeah.
Oh man, my church. Oh, go ahead.
Oh my bad. Do you guys have friends that you guys can talk to, like apologist friends that you talk to, like super regularly?
So, for me, I get to meet with Eric Hernandez.
Oh, cool.
Online, we get to Skype this week, but that's not very regular because he's on the road all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not like we grew up together or anything, so it's not like we're best buds.
How
about you, Julian? Or
well, I'm kind of a lone wolf as it is, so that's not really a big problem for me. And I have a lot of interesting pastor stories there. I mean, I've had one pointing at the floor saying I needed to humble myself before I come in to his church.
Oh.
Yeah. And all I wanted to talk about was, this one, it was ironic, actually. It was like, well, I think we have some problems that aren't getting addressed within some of the members of the church. And that's, I just wanted to talk about that. And apparently somebody gossiped a lot of stuff and hit him first. The funny thing is, though, and I was really scared about this too, because I had a feeling it was going to go bad. But I had to do what I thought was right. The funny thing is, on my way to this appointment, my wife says, what did she say? Oh, drive safe. Okay. Now she never says anything like that. And it was very weird. We looked at each other, we're like, wow, that's really weird. So I narrowly avoided an accident on the way there. I was like, wow, that's pretty funny. But that was kind of the setup for it, because the whole time this pastor is going all, I'm going to hell and how dare I cause division in the church. I just happen to glance over and see Dan Quayle's book titled Stand Firm. So I was just trying not to laugh while this guy's trying to chew me out.
Yeah.
So there's that. I've been called, an agent of the devil by several pastors. It just goes on. I've had in our Bible study group online, I've had all my posts, which were very good, actually. And he agreed they were very good, but they were all deleted because I'm not a pastor. And we just can't have that.
That's ridiculous.
And it was like that right there. That was the most recent one. And that right there was the rake in the field that I didn't see, that I stepped on, and it smacked me in the face. So I had the look that you get, the look of shock I had on me for about a week. How does this happen? I can't believe I thought this guy would be cool. Yeah. What makes no sense? How did we get here? So it was all that reevaluating and seeing, okay, what drives these men to do these things? What is wrong here? Because it's too easy to just say, well, they're just, and there's just this pile of, okay, there's consistently things going wrong here. What is the problem? We got a problem in the church. What is it? They're caught, so yeah. That was like, okay, I don't, it's like, wow, that whole don't trust anybody thing has served me well. It's just that when I go into a church setting, I drop all of that. Okay, it's called fortress mentality. In the military, it's fortress mentality. When you think just because somebody's in the fort, they're supposed to be there. That's a good way to get yourselves killed. Yeah. And I was one of those guys who would test that. So basically, I would try to find ways to attack our own base and stuff like that.
You do Op4 stuff or red team stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like, hey, all right, yeah. So yeah, that's I love that stuff. That's like, that was like the most fun part of my job. But anyway, it was like this fortress mentality to where I would just like, okay, people I trusted, people that sounded good, I would just take what they say and accept it. And I really wouldn't scrutinize it as much as I should have.
Yeah.
And then I just get indoctrinated. And then I start injecting that into the Bible and not even knowing it. And it's like, wow, I've been doing this for years, not even knowing it. That's pretty scary. So that's where apologists, I've noticed, since, well, by the nature of what you're doing, you're forced to go and dig into the details to say, okay, what is the Bible saying? What does it mean? What are all the events and people involved? And really investigate, like we should, to get it. Well, what's going on and what does it all mean? That's fantastic. That and textual critics, like it's like, well, I didn't know there was parts that aren't even supposed to be there. And it's funny because after learning it, I'm like, I was always hung up on that one verse.
Yeah.
And I find out John didn't write that, or Paul didn't write that. And I'm like, oh, it makes so much sense now once you take that out of it.
Yeah. Would it be okay for me to weigh in on this, John?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So the cool thing about, I don't know if you guys have had any exegesis courses, is that a pastor should be doing a lot of this stuff. The problem is it takes like 40 hours a week to properly exegete a small passage. Or more. I mean, it depends on how you were taught, but usually the first step in good exegesis, ironically, is textual criticism. And you're going through, and people do it a little differently, and then you go through and you do your word studies, grammar, background, all of that. But it's unfortunate because a lot of guys get in a rut and they get used to just doing, either downloading stuff or whatever. They look at the passage and go, I preached this before, and they just don't do the background research. And as a result, they make mistakes. And a lot of times, if I see it online, I won't say anything because I've been there, done that. If it's something where it's like, the guy just missed that, I'm like, unless it's some ultra heretical thing, which should be obvious. For me, I just keep my mouth shut because I know what it's like. But to your point, Julian, I agree with you, man. And it's sad. It really disheartens me. And also the level of education going in now has changed. And I don't mean because the students are, I'm in my 40s, so I'm not trying to diss on younger generations or anything at all. It's just the education has changed. What is being taught? Going back and getting another master's now, I have to do Greek and Hebrew again. And I'm like, well, I already had that in my undergrad. They're like, well, it's master's level. It's the same stuff. But they don't offer it anymore at the bachelor's level, and that's why. I'm like, okay. So it's no big deal. I mean, I could use the refresher, to be honest, especially in the Hebrew. But the point that I wanted to make was just a lot of what you're bringing up should actually be in proper exegesis, when you're doing it on a passage. But people don't do it. You learn the formula, you get out of school, and then you sort of, whatever. It's unfortunate.
Real quick, is there anybody else in the chat, or is it just us here? I just want to make sure.
There was one other person. I don't know if they got on. That's a good call.
If you're watching and you're in the chat, send a message. I think it might just be us. I just want to make sure, though.
There was top student. That's what it was. It was in there earlier, but I don't have that window open anymore.
Oh, okay.
If you want, John, I can get it back open. Let me check.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I have it. It just has John in there in the participants list.
Okay.
Weird. Okay, so if you are in the chat and you're watching, make sure you can send a question or comment or anything like that. You can let me know you're there, or you can ask anything, whatever you guys want. So anyway, so for you guys, and thanks for sharing all that. That's good from both of you guys. What do you guys? Is there something that? Okay, I'll put it this way. I'm trying to do more planning with like what kind of videos to do and stuff like that. Is there anything specific that you guys like want to see, or you guys, there's something that you like that I do more than other stuff, or something you hate that I do, or anything like that?
I like how you handled the slavery thing. When I was watching that, I was like, finally, somebody's actually talking about the types of slavery in ancient Israel. And you did a great job, and you did it in such a short amount of time. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to take his thing and use it, because mine was like not nearly as efficient as that.
No,
you handled that very well. You're good at both attacking. You're both at the polemic and the apologetic. You undermine their arguments, and you find stuff that like, oh, well, I would have never come up with that. So no matter how much I study the topic, I will always learn something from you, because you will look at multiple angles, as we should. As the Jews say, you spin it and you spin it and you spin it and keep looking at it, different facades. You're very great at it. It's like, oh wow, man, this is, plus it also shows, well, this is how I think. This is how you look at stuff. This is how you pick it apart and figure it out. And not look for overly simplistic answers, which is, like all the fundamentalism and that's around. It's a great, a war waging against that, 2 Corinthians 10:5. So yeah, no, you do great stuff, man. Your style is fantastic on that, and hitting the trends too, and like, okay, and showing that no, Christians aren't just empty-headed. Not that there aren't Christians out there who are like that. Unfortunately, there are. Let's not pretend there aren't. But that's not what Christianity is. As far as ideas, whatever, I don't know that I have any. You seem to find some, really good things.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I studied. I mean, just like all of us, I'm sure I studied apologetics for a lot of years, and I didn't want to do what everybody else is doing. You know what I mean? Like have the same responses. You predict like, oh, William Lane Craig's response. You know what he's going to say to this and all that. So I try to just start thinking everything through from the beginning. And that's hard. It's harder a lot of the times than it would look, because it takes a lot more work. You know what I mean? When you have to kind of think through it all yourself. And then I start thinking, because I did so many debates and stuff like this, like online debates when I was learning apologetics, I kind of know how atheists are typically going to respond. So I'll try to avoid it before, and I'll try to make the setup where they can't use those objections. So they get knocked off and they don't really know what to do, So that's typically how I structure everything. You know what I mean? Usually, because I kind of know how they're going to respond a lot of the time. So, yeah.
Yeah. For me, brother, I know you had mentioned once about doing some teaching on how you do a method you had. You were thinking about it. I don't know if you know already what I'm going to ask.
The fallacies, are you thinking?
I think you were talking about the just an argument analysis. I think. Oh yeah. You mentioned that in the video, and for me, that's I love that sort of teaching kind of stuff. But again, like Julian said, I love what you do and enjoy watching it. You inspired Erica and I on our channel quite a bit, and one of the things we were talking about doing, which you can have the idea, I don't know if we'll get around to it, is a cardboard robot, calling him Negatron, where just everything comes out of his mouth is negative. And of course, Negatron, of course, then picks on Christians all the time. So
that's a good idea. That's good.
You can have it, brother, because I tried building the thing and I was like, oh, this is too much trouble right now.
Wow, dude, since you have a unique idea, man, like, I think you need to go with it, man. Like,
I'm going to try. What I found is, because we have a, and please don't y'all share this publicly, because you'll understand why immediately. We have a home ministry where we have a lot of Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses coming over. So I've found a way to trick them into continually coming over. I've had the president of the local chapter over, and he's coming back. And we have teams of the Mormons coming over regularly, weekly. And now that when they leave and they're going home, they're still contacting us. Now the reason is we found a clever way to do it whereby we don't refute them. What I do is when they come over, I talk about what the Jehovah's Witnesses have said, and I talk about how I refuted that. So you notice I'm not attacking, but what I do is I'm clever because I know what their arguments are. But you see what I'm doing? It won't be the topic we're talking about that day, so I'll backdoor it. And so what happens is I'm not objecting to them, so there's nothing personal. I mean, there's no defense goes up. And I always phrase it as, look, I'm having a hard time accepting this. Can you? And then I pick apart logically what's going on and what they're doing. And then, or biblically, and I try to be very non-confrontational with them. And they've told me they'll come over, have dinner, help us out around the house. And they've told us stuff that they don't normally tell people, because why most people, start yelling at them and slam the door in their face. So that's where I kind of got the idea for Negatron. Between that and you, John, is the humor side of it. And then the sort of like having something to attack rather than, the atheist, this thing that we can all laugh at, to sort of be able to laugh at ourselves. So
I like that idea. I like that idea too. And my thing is like, if you have like your own kind of unique kind of style and stuff like that too, like and you got that thing like for you that Megatron, like that's a good idea, man. Like and make sure you use it. You know what I mean? Because yeah, too many times like everybody's just doing what everybody else is doing, you know. And I want to see other people do different stuff, you know. So yeah, I mean that's just my preference. But I was like, I don't watch that many apologists. I watch more atheist channels for sure. You know, I only watch a few apologist channels because usually, you know, you see one, you've seen them all. It seems like, you know, for me, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm just been, you know,
no, that's exactly right.
I like your idea too, Megatron, because I noticed this thing that's like, well, all you do is say no. It's easy to sit there and just say no, it's wrong, and oh, you idiot. You know, that's all you do.
That's exactly what he's gonna do. We'd have Megatron ride into the car with me, go, you moron, turn left. I said, you know, and then the conversation starts or whatever. So the idea, like I said, John really did inspire me on that idea in large part. And I thought it's a good idea because then I have something humorous, which people can sort of laugh at, and yet, you know, I'm not attacking them directly.
What's your channel?
What's that?
What's your channel?
I'm sorry. It's Believing Thinkers. It's on YouTube. We don't have Negatron up there yet. Right now it's Erica and I, and we do not so much apologetic. It's mostly didactic. So we teach a lot because that's what we've done in ministry. I've taught in the undergrad level. And I'm trying to teach more on philosophical apologetics. It's just with school, trying to finish up this. I'm doing an interdisciplinary master's in philosophy and theology and apologetics, trying to make up for stuff that I was missing before. I see you. Thanks, brother. Yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, it looks nice. Yeah.
And we always tell everybody if you disagree, tell us. Just do it respectfully. And that's the vibe we try to keep, is to be respectful to everybody. Though it'll never
I don't know what that means. This guys.
Oh my goodness! I had a dialogue with 3 of them just back to back on Braxton Hunter's channel about his debate with Matt Dillahunty.
Oh yeah, I thought he did good on that.
He did, yeah, and that's
But I mean, that's the thing is, so I've seen Cosmic Skeptic debate 3 debates, and each one he got spanked, right? Like I thought he doesn't know the arguments, right?
Yeah.
I saw him debate IP, he debated Cameron, and he debated Frank Turek. And all 3 of them just spanked IP on it. I mean, spanked Cosmic Skeptic on it. And all his fans are just like, oh, yeah, you whooped him, man. Drives me nuts. Because I was like, they just don't know what's going on. They just don't know the philosophy and the arguments. So it just must sound convincing, because they know what's going on.
It was the same thing with, because you guys were talking about Dillahunty, and I'm like, well, the only thing I know about him is I watched his debate with Saitan Bruggencate, and it was like, I don't know how Dillahunty can show his face in public ever again after that debate. I mean, as I said, it's over before it even started. And it was ridiculous. It was like, oh, man.
I don't watch that debate. I watched Dillahunty's, because I watched his channel. I watched his review on the debate. That's all I've seen, but I didn't see the debate.
Oh, see the debate. It is it's like the Scarface of debates or something,
Really?
It's like, it is magnificent.
Personality too. They're similar type.
It is just incredible. Yeah, you gotta watch it. Yeah, you're like, wow.
Funny. I just don't like the size epistemology. It just
I agree. Yep, there with you, man.
That's not a problem. And I, if it works, it's fine. But I feel like ultimately, it's not that helpful. You're just like saying, I'm right. I mean, I know it's obviously more complicated than that, but
right. No, but it's fideism essentially on top of the presuppositionalism, and
But like, so vocab is a precept, and vocab.
Yeah.
I like how he did in his debate with who's that guy, the thinking atheist or whatever? I can't remember.
Oh, Skylar Fiction. Not Skylar Fiction.
Not that guy. I thought vocab did spank Skylar too.
Dude, I wrote him personally and told him that was textbook. If I get another teaching appointment, I asked him to use that. That was textbook with Skylar on how to deal with a
Oh yeah.
It was. I had to shut it off at the half-an-hour mark. He was spanking him so bad, I felt bad for the kid.
Oh, and Mike Winger, when he debated Skylar, Mike just destroyed Skylar, and I couldn't believe it. In the comment section, they're like, "Oh yeah, Mike was awful" or something. I'm like, "What?" so that's why it's like, you know, it's a lot of loaded language. But anyways, with Cy, you know, I actually had a debate with Cy on like a formal Facebook debate with Cy. Yeah, a couple of years ago now, maybe about 3-4 years ago on the Kalam, and Cy didn't know the arguments really and stuff like that too, because he's like Dillahunty to me. They create these structures where to protect themselves, and so if they have to go outside of those structures, they don't know what to do. You know, these structures are their safeguard, and they set these up epistemically because they don't like to get into the details. They just like the structure. But like Cy was like god awful, and that I was like, has these his real objections? Like they're worse than like the Fund the Atheist objections. Like they were really bad, yeah. Or a lot of the same ones, really. But yeah. But Cy seems cool. I mean, he was real nice to me, and you know, so I just I guess my more problem with precept apologetics, the main thing is just I just don't see it as useful. So it's more pragmatic problems than it is you know, logical problems.
Yeah, because it's they won't, essentially you're not to do it with atheists. Now, of course, they'll say, oh, you can use the Bible, but if the atheist rejects that, you're dead in the water. And
yeah. And I just think if somebody talks to me like that, they're like, well, you know what I mean? Or like,
right.
You need God to even be able to think, you know? I'll be like,
yeah.
What? You know what I mean?
This guy's nuts, yeah. You know? Yeah.
But Cy does, I mean, I watched Cy's debate with Scholar Fiction, actually. And it was only like a 15-minute debate because like Scholar was just so ticked off. It was super funny. But Cy had not had the upper hand on it too, because Cy's just like, Cy just has his structure, and he's just like, you know, you try to budget, and he's like, nope. That's pretty funny. Julian, are you a precept?
Yes and no. I mean, I think, you know, I don't think trying to fix every problem with your hammer is the best way to go. There's a lot more both ands than anything in the universe. That now I will go the Cy route on when I think it's the best route to go. Yeah. Somebody's trying to back me into a corner, that kind of a thing. Proverbs 26:4 and 5 are essential tools that are very flexible and are the wisdom is knowing when to apply each in both. You know, do I
argue the fool according to his folly? Is that
right? Yeah, those two, and it's like just like really looking at those and saying, oh, okay, yeah, I can get at both what the person's saying and not saying, or even trying to say without saying it. That goes on constantly.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
I think adjusting for who you're talking to is fundamental. If you're not, then you're not communicating. You know, so.
Right.
Who thinks along those lines, I think you use those arguments. That's what I'm willing to do. You know, like I never go into talking to anybody and think I'm going to talk to them the same way I talked to the last person.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, you know, just like, well, you know, Paul, you know, well, to the Jews I became as a Jew, to the Greeks I became as a Greek. You know, it's like, well, yeah, let's just, you know, look, God meets us where we are. We see that throughout the entire Bible, which would include slavery. Why didn't God just, you know, completely ban it? Well, that's a good question. Do you really want an honest answer to that, or is this a rhetorical question?
Right, exactly.
And it's like, look at the trajectory, and it's like when you don't know that, yeah, that was normal practice in the entire world, and for God to, you know, like even the guy he was refuting put it weakly. Well, God regulated it. True, but there's more to it than that. And it's like, no, God put a radical thing down to guide us away from that. I mean, we started with, okay, can you just stop killing each other? Can we start there? And then we'll build on that. I mean, that's kind of where it's at. So you see the trajectory, and it's like, yeah, so God is actually mandating freedom and banning slavery. He's just taking a while to do it because he's patient.
Yeah.
So if your kid disobeys you, well, go ahead and kill your kid right there, because you'll have none of that disobedience stuff. We'd all be dead if God did that.
Yeah. And so what I try to do, because that's in that last video what I did, and I've never heard anybody argue this, but I was and I don't think I got any objections to it either in the comments, but instead of taking that route, what I said was, because I wanted to be consistent. So if I'm going to argue that this type of slavery is not that bad, then I don't want to say, well, it was that bad, but therefore God is allowing it. You know what I mean? Because then you're inconsistent. So what I tried to do is argue that it's because it wasn't that bad that God could regulate it, because the theme was core and what was needed in order for the economy to flourish and for the world to keep going. So it wasn't inherently bad. What was bad about it was abusers. So that's why the regulations were needed. You know, and I don't think I saw any responses to it in the comments, but I think I like that approach more. I think because then we can be more consistent. But at the same time, it wasn't all peaches and roses, and so I try to, I'm trying to like make that a little bit clearer, because it wasn't like, in other words, I see it as like the worst job. You know what I mean? Or like for me, like going to the freaking army, right? Because you were in the military, right?
Yeah.
Sean, you were.
Yep, both of us, yeah.
Oh, both of you. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's that sounds like a bad job. And you have to say they can treat you like how they want to treat you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I've watched guys get non-judicial punishment for getting a sunburn, and the write-up on the Article 15 was destruction of government property.
Oh wow!
Because they own you. Yeah.
What's funny is, I didn't say anything about my second-degree burns because, that happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently, see, I took a trip to San Diego, and see, unlike LA where I live, they didn't have the smog down there to shield you from the sun. So I got torched. And lots of aloe vera and, silently crying in the bathroom.
You know what? I kind of wish I threw or made an argument around this too. Now that I think about it, you know what I mean, with the military, because what's the difference in the military and slavery? Like, you know what I mean? They have your rights realistically. You know what I mean? And the Israelites had more rights. I mean, the non-Hebrew Israelites still have more rights than you probably get in the military. Oh, go ahead.
I almost threw that up in the comment section when somebody was making, and I was like, nah, I don't want to, get in here because it wasn't to you, it was some atheist comment and say, I don't understand what you guys, because they always confuse types and tokens. They go, well, give me an exact type of this. I go, well, I can give you a token, we're just talking generalities here. I can give you hundreds of things that'll fit inside this category.
Yeah, exactly.
And they demand a specific token and then say, if you can't describe it and show me just like this, you fail. It's like, well, first of all, who made that rule?
Yeah.
And secondly, no. And I mean, of course, you can express that more philosophically, but most of the time you lose them. But you're exactly right. The military would be a great example where they essentially own you. I mean, granted, they're paying you, but it's indentured servitude. They're paying for your school. They're giving you housing. They're giving you, everything essentially.
Let me build on that for you. Okay, so you're putting your life at risk. You are forfeiting a lot of your rights. But I found, it counterintuitively, did not expect this. I found it to be more freeing. All the strict structure and all the discipline and all that was freeing, because you know what? All of these details have been worked out by all of our predecessors as this is the best way to do business. I don't have to worry so much about that, and I'm free to do my job on how I do my job and to innovate and build on that. And then technology, innovating, and all that stuff was a big deal. And I retired at 39. Okay. So I am not a slave, whereas how many 39-year-olds are retired?
Yeah.
So when you look at, the ancient slavery, I sold myself to slavery, well, I'm pretty sure they might have had a plan there. It wasn't always the case there. And it was a means to an end, just like my being in the military was a means to an end. Yeah, sure. I had good job offers in the meantime, but I'm like, you know what? That doesn't fit my long-term plan. It's not really the best means to the end that I'm after here. So there's a lot of people who didn't go in the military because they didn't want to give up their rights. And, maybe that was a good call for them. But it's things don't always work out the way we think they do. That's for sure.
Yeah.
If you're there, your display is kind of wonky.
Oh, it looks like my picture turned green.
Yeah. You're hulking out on us.
Hey, babe, can you hit the button on the camera? There's the picture taker button.
Are you using your regular camera with one of those?
Oh man. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, brother. I was just saying, are you using your not 35 millimeter, but your good camera with one of those devices that converts it for the computer?
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Yeah, it's weird my camera froze. Oh well. But no, I like that analogy. I almost want to add it in, but I've already got so much that I don't really know what to do. But no, I think that's right. So the only scripture that's honestly like difficult is that Leviticus 20:25, 44 through 46. That's the one they always throw at, and that one that's more difficult. But the reason it's difficult, I think, is because people are assuming that it's about this modern style slavery. Like when you really take that away, it doesn't seem that difficult. And so, yeah, you'll see how I argued it in the video. I'll probably post a video either Monday or Tuesday. But you'll see how I argued it in the video. But basically, like the wording there just sounds bad. It's like, oh, these people, you take them, you can buy these slaves, and then they will be your property, and then you can keep them for life. Those are like the three things in there, right? But yeah, basically if you look at what's meant by property, and then I quote like all the times, because I looked up the Greek and the Hebrew for all of this and like studied a lot on the Hebrew and stuff. But if you look at all the times that the word's used, when it's talking about the people that's in there, the people that's in there are called the Gar or the Toshab. But when you look at those other, where they're talked about in every other place in the Old Testament, so there's like 95 occurrences, and then 14 when you're talking about Toshab. Anyways, they mean the sojourner and also the foreigner. But anyways, every other time, they're talking about them like love them, take care of them, don't be harsh to them, don't mistreat them, and all this over and over and over and over. And the only time there's a distinction between them and the Hebrews is only when it comes to the land. And then so in that passage is specifically talking about the land. So it makes a distinction to say that you can keep them for life, but there's two ways to argue. And the first way I argued it, I said, well, it's accepting God's not given a command. He said you can keep them for life because these people have nowhere else to go. So after the year of Jubilee, everybody goes home, but these foreigners don't have anywhere else to go, so they don't go home. So I argued it that way. And then what I did, I said, well, even if I'm wrong here, then it's still voluntary. I mean, if everybody reads the passage as if it says go kidnap people from their nations and bring them there, but that's not the case at all. I think kidnapping was forbidden in the Old Testament. And Cosmic Skeptic objects to that with a really bad objection too, which I'll do in the next video. But anyway, so even if that's the case, they know what they're signing up for and they sign up. You know what I mean? They say, okay, I'm going to stay here for life, And so that's the way I kind of argued it in the video, because I was like, it can't mean what Cosmic Skeptic thinks it means, because it means like treat them like crap. They're just a piece of property like a couch, and that's can't be true.
Do you ever feel like, and maybe you don't want to say anything, it's okay if either of you feel this way, but don't want to say anything because we're on video, it won't offend me at all. With me, I notice with a lot of times I'll argue, like today, I had the three atheists back to back. I think they were Dillahunty's people on Braxton's channel, and they're just hammering me one after the other. And I would get each one to admit they were being completely illogical, and they didn't care.
Oh yeah, they don't care. Yeah.
And I mean, I have two of them admit that and say, but I'm still saying, this X. And I'm like, okay. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me. Here I am, like, that was easy, But
which is why I don't make my arguments just logical, because they don't care about being inconsistent or illogical.
Yeah.
They just don't. Yeah, and I learned that over all the years. I was like, these guys, they literally could care less. So like when it comes to this, I mean, all my last video, like, these people keep coming in more and more. Every day I look, there's like all these comments saying, oh, God is still a slave owner. And it literally makes no sense. I mean, there's no logic to it. And they're just like, all slavery is bad, you idiot. They'll say that. Or like, oh, this black man supporting slavery. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, none of it makes sense. But like, you can't reason with the unreasonable, So you just hope that it reaches the people who are a little bit more open,
I always feel bad because I notice when channels get like that, where the atheists start really coming in droves, the Christians we all tend to back off because we're like, these people are idiots.
Yeah.
I always feel bad for the channel owner, if that makes sense, because I'm like, do they want us to get more involved? Because I don't mind, but
yeah, I always want people to get more involved because we're so outnumbered, man. Like,
yeah.
You know, yeah, I mean, we're just outnumbered. I mean, you look at the average apologetics channel, how many subs does it have? Like somewhere between probably the average probably is around 30,000 or something like that.
Yeah, maybe 40, but yeah.
Yeah, something like that, 40 or something. Those are like the big guys, right? But that's small for the atheist channels. Like a lot of them, like they have like, I mean, the average one of their channels is like probably over 100,000 or something. You know what I mean? So like they're like they really, I mean, we're super outnumbered, you know. But all the arguments all boil down to the same thing. It's just emotion. It's all it is. If you strip away the emotion and saying that God is bad, or if if they feel like they don't have like a moral authority over God in some kind of way, like everything goes away. You know what I mean? They don't have arguments. They really don't. And because I think because atheism's false, I don't think they're ever going to have good arguments. You know, it's just it can't happen because it's false. You know, so.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask. It feels like, and maybe this is an inappropriate word, but sophistry. In other words, like they almost, not that they know they're wrong. That's not what I want to say, but they just don't care. That's
fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've said that. I've used that very same word with atheists and fundamentalists. Is that you're just a sophist. You're not.
Yeah. Okay.
True.
Yeah. Well, you know what I've noticed too is that like sometimes like if you do just ignore their comments and stuff, they'll sink to the bottom more. So I tend to not respond a lot to like some of the negative stuff unless it's like on a top comment or something like that. Then I might, you know what I mean? Or if I know I can just crush the guy and make it like super obvious, then I respond. But otherwise I don't, because I notice if you give them attention, then on the algorithm, they bring them up because they think it's more engagement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I tend to just ignore them a lot when it comes to like some of the, some of that kind of stuff. But no, I think if you took away the emotional rhetoric and there's just all that emotion where they're just like, oh, God's evil, or or name calling, or just trying to the mockery, like there would be no atheist arguments or no atheist channels. There just wouldn't be. There's nothing for them to talk about. You know what I mean? It's literally nothing to talk about.
So why do you think they do that?
I think it works though, like, you know what I mean, in the social field. And I think that, because I mean, you think about like scholar fiction, by the way, like the only thing he ever talks about is slavery in the Bible. So I was like, I know he's probably going to try to do a response to my video because that's like his only subject, slavery, and God commands people to kill people or whatever. You know what I mean? He says stuff like that, but his arguments all suck. Like if you really like pull them apart, and take off the emotional rhetoric, they're just really bad arguments, But I think that they work because they just, emotion weighs more than logic, with time. So.
Yeah, very true. It's unfortunate too, because just when you think you're like, yeah, I finally got him to, And what's funny is I can flip some of them. Now I don't mean convert them. I mean, flip them into being nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Trying to practice that a lot lately, rather than get them all, charged up and whatnot. Is flip them and thank them for, what was the one I pulled this week or yesterday was, and today, something like, I see your concern for me and I appreciate it, because if I saw somebody headed for a cliff that I thought was going to be in trouble, I'd say something too. So thank you. Or hey, you seem really intelligent. I appreciate this. I love dialoguing with you, and I'm glad you're keeping it respectful. And of course, that'll flip it, because then they kind of they're stuck. Yeah. So
yeah. You shape the conversation, But what my view too is that because we're in a postmodern culture, like people value emotions more than everything else, and because of that, like that's how they come to know things. Their epistemology is basically it's based off of feelings. It's like it feels right, is right, feels bad, is bad, and that's it. So that's why I think a lot of that rhetoric and stuff works, is because there's no other path. You know what I mean? There's no other path that they can take to get there, because they don't have the tools to think through stuff. So yeah. But yeah, so
I hadn't thought of that.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that's awesome advice. Thank you for that.
Gotcha. Cool. No, yeah, it's weird. My screen just froze up. That sucks, because I'm supposed to next week I'm gonna do a live stream with my twin. So I hope it doesn't freeze up after like a half hour or something.
Oh man, that video you did. Okay, so this was a while ago.
Yeah.
Okay, he's playing the atheist character, right? I'm like, okay, I'm thinking, gee, John, that's a little over the top with the nerdy atheist routine there. And then you pop in on the side of the screen. I'm like, oh, wait. I'm thinking, man, how do you edit that? That's a really good edit. And then you say, yeah, this is my twin brother. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I remember him saying that before. And I'm like, oh, the other dude doesn't have tattoos and is a bit thinner.
That's so funny. Yeah, because his first he did a few takes and they were all funny because it was like, but they were just too obviously like nothing, I would say. Like it was so bad. He's like, yeah, I've been reading what's that guy Dawkins or whatever, and his arguments are so good. Or I was like, oh God. But
yeah, it's just amazing how different you two are. I mean, it's incredible.
Oh yeah, dude, he's super postmodern, like you wouldn't believe. But that's where I kind of started realizing the insufficiency of just kind of apologetics as an academic virtue or academic venture, because like a lot of the stuff that I learned, like I studied apologetics for years, and then like sitting down with him having a conversation, like one of the first times I was like, oh no, like I was like, I can say this, but I know it's not going to be persuasive because it just sounds like data. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I was like, oh no, I don't have anything to say. You know what I mean? Like, because he just cares about what feels right. And so I was like, I have nothing to say. And so that's where I was like, okay, I'm going to have to start thinking this through more. You know what I mean? And so that's where I started making a change a little bit more in kind of the way I started thinking. Yeah, trying to figure out what's persuasive. But yeah, so he'll be on the live stream next week. We'll be doing a live stream, and then yeah, hopefully it goes good. So keep it in prayer and stuff, of course, and hopefully it gives me an opportunity to dig in deeper with them is what I'm hoping. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I can only imagine what that's like.
Oh yeah, and he's like catchphrase king, dude. Like he hasn't thought through like any of the objections that he'll make. He's just catchphrase. You know what I mean? He's just like, yeah. And he literally will have like Dawkins catchphrases, like, you know what I mean? Because he's heard them around or something, like, But I'm sure they make sense to him emotionally. You know what I mean? They sound right, but it's not logical objections at all. So.
Yeah, it sounds like my brother. Well, sort of. Yeah, long time ago, but.
Oh yeah.
He would come home with his friends from college. This is 20 years ago, and we'd go at it nicely. I mean, like brothers do, but
yeah.
And they would come just to watch.
Oh yeah.
He would just, and I was a fundamentalist, so that wasn't helping.
Yeah.
Either, because our arguments were it's King James only, and there's absolutely zero errors in the Bible whatsoever. Which isn't helping me. I mean, they're just laughing, and I didn't have the wits, but I learned a lot from that. Now, ironically, he's Christian now, but it took 20 years, and mostly he told me it was just seeing. I got in a lot of trouble when I was a teenager. I didn't graduate high school. I got a GED. It wasn't until I went to college that I buckled down. So when he saw the change in me, I think that's what really made him realize, if that makes sense.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so that seems to be what it was. Now, who knows, really? I mean, he hasn't sat down and had a heart-to-heart with me about specifically what it was. He did mention once, though. So, but yeah, we'll be praying for you, brother. Hopefully it bears some fruit.
And that's awesome about your brother, man. And yeah, no, I appreciate that. And that's the thing too, is like on the last video and stuff, of course, like I held back a lot. You know what I mean? Like you always want to respond to all this stuff, but you're just going to be like, what's the best thing here for the relationship, And so that's why I was a little nervous about doing the video, because I'm like, I don't want people to think like his objections are like really good, but at the same time, I don't want to push him away, So it was like trying to maintain that balance is tough,
Yeah, because you don't want to embarrass him in front of.
Exactly. Oh yeah, like especially when he's like, "Oh, I think the Buddhist philosophy sound." I mean, he literally knows nothing about Buddhism, and I know it. Right. I could have just been like, "Oh, what part sound?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, So yeah. But yeah, anyways, but yeah, no, I got to get off here so I can finish trying to edit that video tonight. So I'm not doing it all day tomorrow, hopefully. So, but yeah, it's good to hang out with you guys, man. Yeah, we'll do next month for sure too.
I appreciate it,
guys, man, too. By the way, you guys support and Julian too. I've always seen you around, man, for like forever. I think since like Islamicizing me a lot. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it, man. You guys still with me?
Yeah, I'm here, brother.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, man, it's good to see you guys. And it's Erica, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's all. Okay. Erica,
yeah, her feed is a few seconds behind. So
mine.
Oh, that's awesome. That's funny. Yeah, I'll try to figure out this camera situation.
I cannot join the conversation.
It's okay. Yeah, no problem. Oh, I was gonna say, John, if you need somebody to test that with, I'm available all the time. I'm in front of the computer studying for school.
It needs somebody to what?
Test your feed. In other words, if you need to.
Oh yeah. Cool. No, I appreciate that.
Message me, say, hey, can you help me? Can you just check it? You know, could just set up a quick thing. I can sit in front of the camera.
Facebook a lot.
Fairly often, yeah. I mean, I can just open the window and leave it, open it up and leave it up.
Well, dude, I literally have like neglected my Facebook because I just can't run it. And I can't run two sites. So if you wanted to like operate, because I trust you, it's like I was always thinking, I was like, maybe I can put out an update and ask who would want to help manage it. But I was like, I just don't know who these people are, So if you would want to help it, like that would be cool, man. And I'll walk through some of the kind of standard things. Like if I post a video, you just post the link, you know what I mean? Or whatever, like just that simple stuff, That'd be cool if you'd like to, man. That'd be sweet.
Absolutely, brother. We'd love to do it. We're both going to school. We homeschool the kids, so we're home most of the day.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
If we're not shooting our videos or working on that, then we're home studying and talking about theology and philosophy. So we're pretty fortunate.
Well, cool, man. If you can send me a message on Patreon.
Okay.
And then and just give me your phone number too. I'll shoot you a text. Okay. And then and we'll just kind of get set up when I get a minute. Dude, like I'm ridiculously busy right now, man. It's really bad how busy I am. It's not normal.
So, believe me, I understand, brother.
Oh yeah. So but once I get a minute though, dude, I'll shoot you some info. And add me on Facebook if you haven't already. I haven't even been on there for so long.
Okay. Yeah.
On Facebook or no?
Say that last part again.
Are we friends on Facebook or no?
I don't know if we are or not, because I'm the same way as you. I have my own Facebook account, and then we have a company one that we barely ever use.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm competent with it. I have another one, a martial arts school that I've had for years.
Gotcha.
Then so, what's that?
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, just send me a friend request so that way, once I get on Facebook next, I can add you as an admin on that page too, and then and then we'll chat. Cool. So.
And do you want me to send it to John McCrae? Do you want me to find you as John McCrae, or what do you mean?
John McCrae, yeah. Hey, Julian, you send me a friend request on there too, even though I'm never on there. If you'd like to help out on it too, man, that'd be sweet. But it's up to you. I mean,
yeah. Let me. I hardly use Facebook. I can only use it.
Don't worry.
Hey, can you spell your last name for me real quick, brother?
Oh, it's MCCRAY and JON. It's not no H.
That's why. Got it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and if you guys do, man, that'd be cool. And I can add we can make a little group too. I'll make a group, where we can communicate and stuff through, if we need. So.
Wow, your name is kind of common.
yeah, weirdly, huh?
Yeah, it's weird. I'm looking for
the spelling everything.
And then it's MCCRAY.
MCCRAY. Yeah, I got that.
If you have apologist friends, I mean, we'll have friends in common.
Yeah, I'll look for you. I see David Wood and you or some posts there. I see which one, Erica?
Weird.
Oh, see all. Oh, that's why Eric, my wife, has to help me with this stuff.
Oh, I think the thumbnail. Right now is me and my wife in black and white, maybe.
Oh, I think you're at the top. I think you're the very first one. That's you guys. Yeah. That's why the picture's so small. I'm like, what is that? Is she sitting on your?
Yeah.
Sitting on your
right. I was like, what is my thumbnail now? I don't even remember. It's been so long, but yeah.
That's you guys. Yep, that's you. All right. I should have zoomed in on it. All right.
Oh, Austin's in the chat. Oh, okay. I didn't even notice. Oh, Erica, that's you there. Okay. And Austin, what up, bro? Man, you're late to the party, man. I didn't notice Austin hopped in. Would have been good to have him on, but word. So yeah, you guys, it's good to hang out with you guys though, man, and praying for you guys too, like Julian, for you to find your groove, whatever you're gonna do, man. You know, I was like that for years. I was like reading apologetics for so long. I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do with apologetics, but one day I'll probably do something. You know. So,
yeah.
Praying for you in that way, and then praying for you too in your ministry and everything else, man. Hope that, you know, it just continues to grow and all that. And dude, I'll come on your channel too, man, whenever too. So yeah, just let me know if you.
Oh, thanks, brother.
I'm on sometime. Yeah, no problem. We'll just, as long as we schedule it, man, it works with me. So. Okay,
thanks. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man. So, all right, dudes. Well, yeah, good to talk to you guys and dudettes. You guys. So I'll see you guys next time. All right.
Okay. Hey, God bless, brother. We're praying for you guys as well.
You too. Appreciate it. All right, guys. See you.